check out Rush Collectibles' awesome horror figures, including the first and only Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 figures. For more information, go to rushfigures.com. Remember, in the course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams. Greetings, ghouls and creeps, and welcome to Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. I am one of your friends, Dave, joined as always by your other friend, Ike. Ike, how are you?
Hey, not doing too shabby. Well, I usually have a fun little quip, but at the start of this episode, I have to do a callback and a little bit of a call out real quick. All right.
Okay.
So last episode, I mentioned that I hated mug root beer. That in fact, mug root beer is the most disgusting of all root beers. That it is the dog water of root beer, and people who like mug root beer should not have opinions or rights for that matter. But that's a whole nother story. Well, somebody decided to comment on one of our Facebook posts. A friend of mine from a ways back, and said that he likes mug root beer, and he said that he checked out of the episode as soon as I said that last time. Well, listen here, my boy, mug root beer is still ass, and and I'm just gonna start off saying that mug root beer is ass, and I preach Barks root beer superiority here.
It's going to make you check out of every episode, huh? Come on, man.
This is gonna be an ongoing thing, man. I'm telling you, I'm a mug root beer hater. If there are no haters for mug root beer left on this earth, I have died.
Yeah, well, someday they will speak of the great root beer war of 2024.
Amen.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know what that's got to do with anything, but okay. There it is. I mean, apparently the most repetitive topic on a horror podcast is mug root beer. So
2 weeks in a row, baby.
Go figure. I don't know. Not related to root beer in any way is our review today. Well, I don't suppose. We are reviewing Never Let Go, which is out in theaters now. But before we get there, we have all kinds of stuff to talk about and discuss. And we will start by saying, Hike, what did you watch this week?
Watched a couple things. Let's see. I was able to get around and watch. I saw the TV Glow on Max.
Yeah, well, how was that?
Excellent, honestly. It was very. What's the word? It was a very surreal sort of like movie that I've never seen a movie like it. It's not the same like scary movie that you watch. In my opinion, it deals with more like existential dread and like sort of like something a little different than like normal horror, existential horror. There you go. But yeah, it was solid. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's on Max. It's not a long movie at all. I think it's like 90 minutes, maybe less. So it's a pretty easy watch, I'd say.
That prime zone.
There you go. Other than that, I started watching the new season of Monster on Netflix. That's the first season was Jeffrey Dahmer. The second season is the Menendez brothers, which I had never I knew of them, but like I didn't really know their story. And like, man, it's such a fucked up story. It's so weird. Like, basically, at the point that I'm at now, not to say that the murder was justified, but like I understand to an extent why they felt the need to do it, which is hard to say about murderers, right? But you watch that movie, you watch that show, and like, I mean, and it very well may just be how this specific creator has depicted these people. Very much could be different, but anyways, watch that. Other than that, I didn't really watch a whole lot. I've been watching, weirdly enough, I sometimes get in these kicks where I watch reality TV, which is horrifying in of itself, but not horror related. But I watched some episodes of Hoarders, which is Dave's worst nightmare.
Yep.
Dave's a neat freak, so I'm pretty sure if he watched an episode of Hoarders, he'd probably go into catatonic shock.
It is the most horror thing ever.
So to Dave, that is probably scarier than any movie he's ever seen.
Yeah, they just came out with a thing where they proclaimed Terrifier. I think it was Terrifier or Terrifier 2, one or the other, as like the most gruesome horror movie of all time. Nah, I don't know. I would suggest there are episodes of Hoarders that would strike more fear in me. So
Yeah, they're pretty intense. But other than that, I've also been watching 90 Day Fiance, which is again horrifying in of itself. I don't know why I like these shows, but man, I
90 Day Fiance.
listen, it is weirdly entertaining. It is a weirdly entertaining show.
Yeah, I'm not even going to argue that point. It ain't even worth. Good Lord.
Hey, I'm a man of many facets. I'm a very cultured man. I watch more than
Well,
just horror films, guys.
first of all, if you're 90 Day Fiance and the word culture cannot be in the same realm of each other. And secondly, if we didn't lose the entire audience on the mug root beer thing, now we've lost everybody else on this. So I think we're just talking for ourselves today.
Hey,
Um,
listen, if there's any mug root beer lovers out there that checked out, that's fine with me. Don't get me
yeah,
started.
I don't know whether your opinion at this juncture is even valid anymore because I mean you watch 90 Day Fiance. So I don't know if anything you say can be taken with any credibility. So
Listen. Completely different concepts. Root beer and reality TV.
quote unquote. But okay. Wow. So is that it, or there are some other horrific terrors that you've got hidden away?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm good.
Thank the maker. Um, man, I'm telling you, this has been a rough week, man, because I don't know what it is, but man, the celebrities are dropping left
They
and
are.
right, and it's just, I mean, sports fans, we've lost Dikembe Mutombo, we've lost Pete Rose, we've lost Frank Fritz from American Pickers, we've lost I don't even know who all else. There's several others that I'm shooting blanks on right now. The one
Uh,
lady from
Harry
oh
Potter,
yeah, from Harry Potter,
Dame Maggie
yeah, Maggie
something.
Smith.
Maggie Smith, yeah.
Yeah, and then the I'm losing. I'm totally names are just really the guy from Coming to America and Good Times just died. God, I can't remember anybody's name. There's just, and I think I'm forgetting something. I think there's
Ken Page, who
yeah, Kid Page.
he voices Oogie Boogie in Nightmare Before Christmas. He passed away.
Yeah, I still feel like there's a couple others though that I don't know. It's just
I thought there was a musician that passed away too.
I don't know. It's just been man. This is what a rough little spell here. Um, so that's not what I watched, but just not horror related either. But it's just Lord, it's a lot. So as far as what I watched, let's see. I finished the Nightmare series. Am I rewatching that and started my Friday the 13th, and I've just watched the first one so far in that. So and that's where I stand. I've watched all the Nightmares, even up to the remake and everything else. So yeah, that gets as far as horror stuff. I believe that's it.
Uh, I don't know if you mentioned it, but did you say Pete Rose? Because Pete Rose
Hmm.
died.
Yeah, I said Pete
Um,
Rose. Yeah.
Chris Christopherson died as
Oh, that's
well.
it. Chris Christopherson. That's what I was thinking. That's a big one. Oh, it's like, geez. Whew. It's just, gosh, it's just. I mean, some of these are major. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not undermining anybody's death or anything else, but I'm talking as far as the public light and pop culture. Some of these are major players, and it's just wow. It's just oh, there was someone else. What was the one guy? It was in Beverly Hills Cop. Um, see, for some reason I can't remember anybody's name. He was in Beverly Hills Cop, and he was in the Beverly Hills Cop Axel 2 that just came out. Um, but he was in the original, and then in this one, I don't even know.
Well, I know it's not Eddie Murphy. I'm sure he's still
No, no, no,
kicking.
no,
He's
no, no,
still
no.
kicking around.
Anyway, I can't. I'm sorry. I feel horrible that I can't remember anybody's name today for some reason. But anyway, he also uh, passed away as well. So just too many, too many right now. I
Truly
mean, they say they come in threes, but apparently they're just when this one's coming in like the baker's dozen here. It's just
coming in waves. It feels like.
uh,
I mean,
it needs to give us a little break because this is this is a lot. Every time you try to wrap your head around one, they're leveling you with two more, and it's like, oh, and wow. The Pete Rose thing hit me hard. I know he's had his issues and whatnot with the gambling and blah blah blah, but he was a very major thing in my childhood, as far as a baseball player. And remember, watching the game when he broke the hit all time hits record, and it was pretty cool, pretty big thing. And so that one hit me kind of hard.
Was it John
Uh,
Amos?
yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it. Yep. Uh, yeah, that's the one. That's the one. He's the one in he's the one in Coming to America, right? That just passed away.
Let's see. He says he was Good Times and
Yeah,
Roots.
yeah,
Um,
Coming to America. Yeah, but no, there was another one though. The other guy was in Beverly Hills Cop. He might have been the first of this little string. Um, I don't know. It was a few days ago.
I don't know if you mentioned it, but Tito Jackson, Michael Jackson's brother, also died
Yeah, that was a little while back.
on the 14th. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot. But
Uh,
damn.
Tito, I don't know about Tito. It's
He said, I
might
don't know about Tito.
might be flying a little loose with the celebrity status, but no,
Celebrity adjacent.
I can't say that. I mean, he was in the Jackson Five, and the Jackson Five were huge. So, uh,
They were.
yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on.
Not enough talk about death.
Yeah, I know we're a horror podcast, but man, this has got very morbid.
I was
And
gonna say.
so let's move on. Order up.
Here's one house special cheesy slasher. Enjoy.
And of course, let's lighten the mood with the cheesy slasher of the week. And if we are definitely lightening the mood, we've got one this week that will definitely do that. Now, this is where Ike and I suggest to you a cheesy horror movie, typically a slasher, more than often than not, but a cheesy horror movie for you to go and watch if you have not already. And this week, we offer to you the movie The Stuff. This movie is described as a delicious, mysterious goo that oozes from the earth, is marketed as the newest dessert sensation, but the tasty treat rots more than teeth when zombie-like snackers begin infesting the world. This movie is written and directed by Larry Cohen, starring Michael Moriarty, Garrett Morris, Andrea Morkovici, and more. It was released June 14th, 1985. A couple of little trivia points. Clara Peller, who was famous for the Wendy's "Where's the Beef" commercials. She
Where's the
made
beef?
a cameo in a fake commercial in it saying "Where's the stuff?" And this, of course, was the time she was riding the fame and popularity of the "Where's the Beef" campaign. And in the movie, some of the things that they used for the stuff in the movie were ice cream, yogurt, and fire extinguisher foam. The movie can be watched on Philo. The stuff it's a fun movie. I like it. And it's a very it's a kind of a jab at commercialism and gluttonous behavior and so on and so forth. But it's you know what, it's cheesy, but it is cheesy in the best of ways and very fun. And so there you go. So go watch The Stuff, and remember that when you are binging your favorite snack food. So all right, let's move on to the next segment. Talk to us, Internet. And now it is time for Talk to Us, Internet. This is where Ike and I discuss something that was either commented to us on one of our social media platforms or just something that we picked up in social media in general, which is what this one is. Because I don't know whether anybody out there that listens has noticed this. If you're active at all on X in the horror community, there was a mass unfollowing and blocking of someone on X. I'm not going to point out who it was because this guy's kind of a creep. Who had some hate-filled things in his bio, where he was, let's just say, he was anti certain groups of people. And he just put it right there in his bio, not even by his post. It was right there. He's just, bam, love horror movies, love this, anti this. And it's like, ooh. And, well, that that didn't really strike the majority of the horror community very well. So there was a huge segment of the horror community, and some fairly prominent. I mean, I'm not saying there's like these gigantic stars, but there were some fairly some fairly decent power brokers in the horror community that were sharing and saying that, hey, horror is very inclusive and accepting, and this guy didn't represent the genre, and people needed to unfollow him. So I want to bring this up because you and I have said this many, many times that we feel that the horror community is probably one of the most accepting and inclusive horror or genres of fandom out there. And I think this really showed it because there was really this call to arms of people to say, "Hey, screw that. We don't want that in this. Get out of here." And I know it was just a thing on X, but still, it's when you get a lot of people that band together for anything in common, it's kind of remarkable in this day and age. So I don't know. It's a pretty cool thing that something like I said, we've long said that horror is very very inclusive, very accepting of people of all makes and models and types and whatever you want to say. And this kind of showed it. And you know what? Hey, I'm very proud of the horror genre for this, Ike. So what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm so out of the loop. You'll have to text me later who this person was.
I don't know specifically who it is. It was just some dude.
Oh, so it wasn't like a popular person?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
It
okay.
was just some fan. I will say he was following us.
Really?
Yeah, he did follow us, and well, not any longer because I did block him. But yeah, he was following us. I don't know who he is. He's nobody. He's just a fan. He's not an actor or a filmmaker or anything like it. No, nobody prominent. Nothing like that. This was just a dude, though, that had that followed lots of people, and of course, lots of people followed him back because that's what you do. And when just people picked up on what was in his bio, though, people were like, "Hey, this is not cool. I've got lots of mutuals with this guy. You might want to take a look." And
Yeah.
there was lots of that, lots of that sharing, and so that's how I kind of picked up on it. Was someone sharing it like that, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's not cool." So you know
Gotcha.
what? You're not welcome in the Listen to Their Screams world. So yeah, we blocked
Uh,
him. And
yeah. Yeah.
if you subscribe, that you just we don't need your download. Just hit the unsubscribe and just go listen to something else. 'Cause,
Yeah. Here's the deal. I'm a very, very like chill, easygoing person. Like I'm not saying that to like, be like, oh, I'm so cool. But like I'm just a very easygoing person. Like I don't pick beefs with people. But like very, very forwardly and very honestly, if you are, and obviously I don't know the full story here, in terms of like who specifically they don't like. But if you're racist, you're sexist, you're misogynist, I don't care what it is, go fuck yourself. I want nothing to do with you. Absolutely positively, there's no place for you on the internet. I about said something else, which was a little too far. There's no place for you on the internet. Or maybe there is, but it's not on our page. And yeah, I think it's great to see that people kind of see that. Horror has not always had the best level of inclusivity, but it's definitely gotten better. But I would say for the most part, horror's always been a pretty progressive genre of film. Even dated back to the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of great black representation in horror films that didn't get spotlights in other movies. Same thing with female representation. Literally, the horror genre is almost predicated by the existence of a final girl. So, female representation and horror is also incredibly, incredibly important. And even further than that, LGBTQ plus representation is a very long-standing thing with horror going back to a long time ago, but very specifically Rocky Horror Picture Show it is a horror icon, but it is also an icon to that community because that was the first of its kind. There were people around during that time who had this movie that really truly spoke to them, but they were sort of part of this weird like underground community at the time, which is why it's a cult favorite. So, without getting too far into, because obviously I don't want to get on a whole rant here. Obviously, we've said it before. You know, we are not about putting up barriers. We are not about gatekeeping, and we're not about being horrible, just pieces of shit. Like I'm an asshole sometimes. I say stupid shit. I may have my bad opinions about root beer. Again, calling back to the root beer. But you'll never catch me saying some dumb shit like anti this or anti that in the way that this person was. So yeah, like I said, don't if this person happens to be listening, because I'm sure they know who they are. Yeah, like Dave said, go ahead and just hit that unsubscribe button. We might be
Yeah.
a small podcast, but we're not hurting that bad.
No, and I don't care enough that one person's not going to break my heart because, um, yeah, I just don't. If you go to conventions and if are on the horror, active in the horror community online and whatever else, you see great, great representation and great acceptance. And yeah, there's always work to do, right? No matter where it is, there's always more that can be done. It could always be better. But if you compare it to other genres and other fandoms, yeah, I think horror is right up there near the top for one of the best. There are some others that are pretty strong too, but there are some that are pretty disgusting, and it's really kind of weird and a shame. But yeah, I think horror is pretty good, and I like seeing that. You know what? Hey, we can self-regulate this somewhat, and we can take care of our own and clean. And this wasn't even there wasn't even a directed attack at anybody specifically. I mean, when there's a directed attack, it gets even even more call to action. But
Right.
this was just a general whoop. Let's nip this before it becomes an issue. And well done, people. Well done for everybody that helped share that and put out their call to action of this this individual and everything goes well done. Way to represent what's good in what's good in people and the horror community, and I'm proud of you. So very good. So that's our talk to us internet. And the moral of the story is just, God, we said this a million times. Just don't be dicks, man. Come on. Um, Lord. So, all right. So before I completely unravel, let's move on. Two truths and an AI. And our weekly segment is Two Truths and an AI. This is where I present 3 movie descriptions to Ike, and 2 of them are actual movies that have been put out there in the public, and one is a description created by AI using some specific parameters. Ike tries to guess which one is the AI, and sometimes he does really well. Sometimes it's a little more difficult. It just depends. And sometimes you can easily tell what which one's the AI. But I let Monica do these. She generates these, and she's gotten a little better with her parameters and this and that, and trying to so that the descriptions don't sound so distinctively different for the AI. So let's see what today's presents. Ike, are you ready to play Two Truths and an AI?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Movie number 1. A family spends the Christmas holiday in a remote cabin. Before Christmas Eve is over, someone makes the naughty list.
Okay.
Movie number 2. A factory worker who was emotionally scarred when finding out Santa wasn't real as a child goes on a killing spree at Christmas. And movie number 3. Gathering for the annual family Christmas festivities takes a dark and frightening turn when the adults disappear one by one, leaving only a small, bloody handprint at each disappearance. I'm not sure why she went with the Christmas theme in this one, but ho, ho, ho.
Right.
There are your 3 movie descriptions, Ike. So what
Okay.
are you thinking?
So the second one sounds, it sounds remotely similar to, well, there's that serial, it's the, oh God, what is it? It's that movie where the kid gets scarred because well, no, he wasn't a factory worker. He worked in a grocery store. Um, You know which movie I'm talking about? He like
Yes,
the car.
you're talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night, where he worked in the
Yeah,
department store. Yeah.
right. So I don't think so, but that's the thing is that it sounds awfully familiar to Silent Night, Deadly Night. So that makes me think that like maybe that one is not that one might be AI. But so I feel pretty confident that the third movie is not AI because of how specific it is, right?
Okay.
Something something that I've found with a lot of these AI generations is that when you put in these things, it can include some details, but the detail of the red handprint just seems like overtly specific. And I just don't see how an AI generator would be able to give you that description unless you specifically gave it that description. So unless she changed the prompt from the other two, then it would have to, you know what I mean? So like it would have to be like either the prompt included a red hand, which means that there would be other references with it with the other films, or it's not an AI. So I'm pretty confident Thermos not AI. So I'm kind of between the first two. My gut tells me that the first one is AI. That's what my gut tells me.
Which one?
The first one.
Okay.
But I'm still a little hesitant because the second one sounds very similar to Silent Night, Deadly Night. So maybe, you know, so I think that I'm going to stick with my gut and say that the first movie was AI.
Okay. You think the first one is AI. All right, let's reread these and go through them. Movie one, a family spends the Christmas holiday in a remote cabin. Before Christmas Eve is over, someone makes the naughty list. Now, this is the one you thought was AI. This is the movie The Children from 2008. And this was, she made a note here. This is the 2009 Fright Meter Award for Best Horror Movie. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Fright Meter Award, but congratulations. So, Ike, you're wrong. You already missed out. So, uh, movie number two, a factory worker who was emotionally scarred when finding out Santa wasn't real as a child goes on a killing spree at Christmas. This is Christmas Evil from 1980, which was originally titled Better Watch Out. She said, a couple fun facts. Patricia Richardson stars in her first acting role, who would later go on to be the mom in Home Improvement. And this movie was John Waters' favorite Thanksgiving or Christmas horror movie. Okay. And movie three, gathering from the annual family Christmas festivities, takes a dark and frightening turn when the adults disappear one by one, leaving only a small bloody handprint at each disappearance. This is AI using the parameter of horror movie at Christmas.
Gotcha. Well, I was way off on this one, so
Yes.
Skynet has won today.
Yeah, you immediately eliminated the AIs, thought it was a real one.
Damn. Damn.
All right. Well, better luck next time, Ike. The cards aren't with you today, so you have fallen subject to the computer overlords. So, all right. Well, then that brings us to that. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we will have news, anniversaries, and everything else, and we've got a bunch of it to talk about. So stick around.
Make sure you subscribe to Listen to Their Screams on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you look us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and Slasher. All you have to do is look up Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2 in Screams, and you can find us there. Also, make sure you go and buy yourself a Listen to Their Screams t-shirt. You can find all of our shirts at tinyurl.com/Screams Shirts.
Spread the news. Spread the news. Spread the news. All right, and welcome back with the news. So, like you said, there's a lot to talk about, so let's rock and roll. First things first, Winnie the Pooh Bud and Honey is coming to Peacock on October the 1st. Obviously, the first one, I believe, is already on Peacock, so you will soon be able to watch the second one, actually, as of the day of recording. So, very good. Very excited for that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a rewatch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of streaming on video on demand on October 1st, Speak No Evil will get released on video on demand October 1st. So, if you couldn't, for whatever reason, check it out in theaters, which, it is what it is, check it out on video on demand. Or if you have checked it out in theaters, watch it again, video on demand. You won't be sorry.
It's definitely worth a watch, definitely worth a rewatch. You can listen to our review in the archives just from a week or two ago.
Yeah,
Damn fine movie. So go watch it.
very much so. And Oddity is now streaming on Shudder. I have actually have no clue what this movie is, but it's on Shudder. I will most likely watch it.
Yeah, this is a movie that was talked about quite a while back. I think it's got something to do with a mannequin in it, and I remember it coming up it seems like it's been quite a while back, and I think we may have mentioned it, and we're like, oh, that looks pretty interesting, pretty cool, pretty twisted, and yeah, now I don't know, it's finally out, so I don't know what's what, but it looks worthy of a watch, so go watch it. I will.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll check it out. Watch anything on Shudder and Screenbox for sure. And Salem's Lot will be available October 3rd on Max. Now, I'm assuming that this is talking about the long-awaited remake
Yes.
that has been in developmental hell for it seems like forever. So
Yes.
this will be on streaming the day of release. So when
Yeah.
this episode comes out, you can check out Salem's Lot on Max.
Yeah, and I'm very, very excited, and I'm very excited to watch it, but very sad on the other side because I feel like Salem's Lot has been the longest running news story of this podcast since I feel like it has been planned to release from the beginning that when we started doing this 2 years ago, that they were like talking about Salem's Lot releasing it. And here we are 2 years later. Now it's actually coming out, and I don't know. I mean, we won't be able to talk about it anymore. So, but I am excited to see it because the original miniseries is very good, and I figure this will really, really be good. Stephen King gave it some rave reviews when he saw it, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, like we said, I mean, it's finally out, so it's going to be sad that we won't be able to talk about it anymore. But I digress. Maybe if it's good, we might review it at some point. We'll see.
Well,
Uh,
we'll find something else. There'll be some
right.
other recurring news story.
True, for sure. And then speaking of very long-awaited releases, not as long, but VHS Beyond is on Shudder October 4th. So the Friday after this is released, you will be able to check out VHS Beyond on Shudder. That's right. I'm not sure. I don't think. Yeah, we're reviewing something else next week, and then the week after, of course, is Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
But I think we should look at the calendar and we should try and review this and maybe rank the existing VHS films at some point. I feel like that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think we probably got a hole somewhere, but man, there's just so much. I mean, of course, it's October.
It
That's
is.
to be expected, and it's just so exciting. I mean, because by the time this drops, we've already hit on what here three movies that I want to watch. One coming the day after this drops that I want to watch. So it's just like, oh, it's pretty solid week here of releases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy. So much good stuff, and there's still some other stuff we have to talk about. I don't know if there's any other releases, but some other good news. And so far, it's been pretty good. But to take us on a down note, the Chucky series has been canceled by Sci-Fi and USA. I kind of saw this coming. When they didn't greenlight the next season after the last episode of last season, it kind of lingered in the back of my mind that this could very well just get canceled. Um, I know that the season wasn't performing as well as past seasons had, so I kind of anticipated that this could happen. Still sad nonetheless. Obviously, we both love the Chucky series, and anytime a show gets canceled, no matter how long standing, it's always just it's not a fun time.
No, I very much love the series. Hate to see this happen. But I don't think the property's dead. I'm curious to see what happens from here. Maybe is it time for another movie or a new movie now? Let's switch back. Who knows? But I'm sure something will happen because there's definitely I think some life left in the Child's Play franchise. So I'll be curious to see what happens from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, hopefully it's not dead. We'll never know, but we'll see what happens. And then we have some other good stuff coming up here. Upcoming on October 15th, Stream will have its official video on demand release. Dave and I have been incredibly excited for this. There's the unfortunate happening that Stream got cut out of a lot of movie theaters. This didn't just happen to us. This happened to a lot of other people. There's a pretty big community of Stream fans on Facebook. So a lot of people kind of expressed a similar issue where basically nobody could watch it. A lot of people couldn't watch it because theaters were just cutting showtimes. So very happy to see that it's going to be on streaming. Definitely something that I want to watch. Very, very excited to do so.
Yes, me too. This has been one of my more anticipated movies that I just cannot wait to see. And I'm super excited that we finally have an announcement and that now I know that I'm just a couple weeks out for being able to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then speaking on more video on demand stuff, we have Beetlejuice will be video on demand October the 8th and is going to have a physical release on November 19th. So obviously very exciting. We always love the physical release. And I figured that this would get a physical release because the first one obviously did. So obviously that's super exciting. Something to add to your collection potentially.
Yeah. And I'm sure somewhere probably in the interim between those two, there'll probably be a straight streaming release somewhere. I don't know where if Paramount or Max or who's got their fingers in that pie, but I'm sure between the video on demand release and the physical, there'll be an actual straight up streaming release. But very fun movie. It's worth the purchase of the rental on video on demand, and I recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then speaking of fun stuff, Fangoria Chainsaw Awards will be streamed live online on October the 13th. So very cool. The Fangoria Chainsaw Awards have been going on for a few years now. So if you haven't checked them out before, check them out. It's always a fun time. They just, it's kind of like I would say a very typical, sort of reward show-ish. So it's still a fun time, but it's horror movie. So, it's always good.
Yeah, it's kind of like our Oscars, right, for horror movies, and it's always a fun watch. They get some really great people that do the spots to give out the award, announce the award winners, and there's always lots of big names and everything else, and it's always pretty entertaining. And it's cool to see things like the best kill and whatnot, and and make your guesses and everything. It's fun to watch. So I'm a big proponent, big supporter of these. They're fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Scream 7 has tentatively been scheduled for release into theaters February 27, 2026. Speaking of films being stuck in developmental hell, this film has been back and forth, canceled, uncanceled, canceled again, and of course now uncanceled with a tentative release in February of not next year, the year after. It does suck that we're going to have to wait, 14 months, 16 months for a new Scream film. But hopefully the time that it is going to take to get this movie made, produced, edited, and everything else, hopefully the time that it will take will give us a final product that everyone will be happy with. And hopefully this might be, I don't know, maybe the last piece of the saga, or I don't know, maybe there'll be a new beginning. Who knows? But very excited.
Yeah. I mean, I would prefer them to take a little time and do it right and everything else. And I understand they were essentially having to pretty much return to scratch from what they had originally probably wanted to do. And I don't know. I don't know what'll happen with this. I feel like this will close out the Sydney, and the original stuff. I don't see Scream just dying though, right? I just feel like something's got to happen, and it's too valuable a property. And they could, who knows? They could go pretty much anywhere they want with it and do whatever. I enjoyed the Scream series when it was out and everything else. So there's lots they could do with it. I think something will happen, but I'm very excited to see this one and see how they potentially, close off some of these, the Sydney stuff, and or maybe not. Maybe it'll go a little. Maybe Sydney will still. Who knows? But I'm just curious to see what they do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Always excited. And like we said, 16 months away, so put it on your calendars. And lastly, last little bit of news, we had a lot. The producers of documentaries Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories are now tackling the Child's Play franchise with Doc of Chucky, which will be a release on Shudder November 1st. So these are both very good
Yes.
documentaries. They're very long, very in-depth. So
Yes.
I think that if they give that treatment to the Chucky series, I think that'll also be really good. I'm very interested to see, what all comes from that.
Yeah, there was kind of a listing there of the people they interviewed for it. And I mean, it was pretty much everything, like the others. They anybody who's involved, they talk to. So they're thorough, and I love that. I love that they don't short anything like with the others. They went movie by movie or chapter by chapter. I'm sure they'll hit the series. Uh, it goes by each one. It gives each thing, whether you like it or not, it gives it each one a proper time, proper discussion and description. They talk to everybody involved. And with the canceling of the series, this is a pretty cool, opportune time to really put something like this out, right? And document what's been done, and then who knows where it goes from here. So I'm excited because I love the other two documentaries. They are just absolutely unbelievable. If you've not seen them, they're highly recommended. And so I'm excited to see them do this, and I hope they do other franchises. I hope they just continue to really. I'm kind of a documentary sucker though for things that I'm interested in, so I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, hopefully they make more. I'd love to see a Terrifier documentary. I know that they don't have a whole lot going for them right now because they're still pretty fresh. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool to see a Terrifier documentary one day.
Yeah, I mean they could do one. They could do one on Scream. They could do one on the whatever of the Living Deads. I mean there's a ton. The Hellraisers. There's all kinds of stuff they could do, right? I'm all for it. I mean, they could do a Halloween one. They could. There's a lot they could do, right? I hope they continue on doing these because they do some great work.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that does it for our news. Covered it all. So we're going to roll into upcoming birthdays. October 3rd, 1973, we have Neve Campbell. Speaking of Scream, she is, of course, Sidney Prescott in the Scream franchise. You may also know her from The Craft, as well as many, many others. Um, Obviously, Neve Campbell's great. We're very excited to see, what happens with her in the new Scream franchise, or I should say Scream franchise movie. And yeah, hopefully she continues to do lots of good work and we can keep watching.
Yeah, yeah, I like Neve Campbell. She's done some good things. I remember her originally from Party of Five. That show, which wasn't my favorite show, but it was, had some very talented people in it that went on to do lots of things. But yeah, of course, I most know her and enjoy her in the Scream franchise, of course. But yeah, happy birthday, Nev.
That's right.
Like you're listening, but
Right. But speaking of Scream, October 4th, 1967, Liev Schreiber, known for his role as Cotton Weary in Scream films, also known for his role as Logan's brother and the
mhm.
Wolverine Origins, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, Sabretooth.
Sabretooth, yep. He played
Mhm.
Sabretooth in that. Not the OG Sabretooth from like the old days, but
Yeah.
yeah, the remake-ish Sabretooth. So I really thought I was going to see him in X-Men, or I'm sorry, Deadpool and Wolverine, but he sure
Okay.
wasn't there.
Nope. But that's okay.
Right.
Not everybody can make it in, I guess.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. But happy birthday, Liev. Hope you have
Hmm.
a wonderful birthday. I don't know why I turned into Dracula there, but
Yeah, I don't know.
it
Spooktober taking you over.
really is. I was like being possessed by the spirit of October here. But moving on to October 5th, 1952, Clive Barker, known of course for his writing of Hellraiser and his involvement, I should say, with the Hellraiser films, and he's done some other stuff, but specifically, I feel like Hellraiser's like his big thing that he's done.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a couple other. For some reason I'm not remembering off the top of my head. This seems like there's a couple other franchises he helped spawn, but yeah, his writings are what the Hellraiser movies developed out of, and they weren't called Hellraiser, I don't think. The book said they had other names, but yeah, he's that demented little mind that gave us the Hellraisers. So and is known enough, and that you always see a lot of times with the Hellraisers and stuff. It's not just Hellraiser. A lot of times you see Clive Barker's Hellraiser. His
Yeah,
name is so much attached to it and on it, so deservedly so.
yeah, Absolutely. But good stuff. Good stuff. Keep doing your stuff, Clive. Keep doing it. And October 5th, 1919, very old here. Obviously, this person has deceased by now. But Donald Pleasance, known for his role as Dr. Loomis in Halloween, obviously he has a very large filmography, but
Yes.
horror-wise, Dr. Loomis is what we know him best for.
Yes, and what a great job. I mean, to me, just perfect, right? I mean, just perfectly cast. Just he was just great. And I don't know. That's the one thing. It's whether you like the other Halloween movies or not, and and I do to varying degrees, but there's always that missing part of Loomis not being there. You always wish Loomis could make an appearance, but yeah, Donald Pleasance is fantastic. Or was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least on birthdays, October 8th, 1943, R.L. Stein from Goosebumps. Viewers beware, you're in for a scare. Um, we always talk about it. Goosebumps, for me specifically, was my first introduction into horror. And I feel like for a lot of people around my age, that it was sort of like it was the beginning of, an unhealthy obsession with horror. I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that is really, it's like, it's diet horror. It is a watered down version of like horror. And even then, some of those episodes are still pretty freaky. Like
Yeah.
what is it? The Night of the
Night
Living Dummy.
oh yeah, that was ooh. But
Slappy's still creepy
mhm.
as hell. But yeah, it's very interesting, how many people I've talked to or seen post about how Goosebumps was how it all started for them.
Yeah, I mean R.L. Stein was definitely a gateway drug for a lot of people to get into horror, and it's good, right? I mean, I'm very much a supporter of there can be some age appropriate terror and spooky stuff, right? That for younger, you don't want them jumping right in and watching the extreme stuff. Um, so things like this are good, and there's been others, right? Since him, uh, what are the Fear Street books, and I don't even know what else there is. I know there's been a few series since of that kind of that age appropriate, suspenseful terror, creepy horror type things, but I don't know that anybody has done it better than R.L. Stein and Goosebumps, and so yeah, it's a good thing. Got a very important place in horror history, I believe.
Absolutely. 100% agree. But good stuff. Moving on to upcoming movie anniversaries. October 3rd, 1980, we have Terror Train. I have never seen this film, but I know they remade it on Tubi, I believe.
Yeah, you need to. It's good. Jamie Lee in it, and
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure fucking David Copperfield's in it. Uh, but it's kind of a peculiar thing. But yeah, it's a fun movie. I'm pretty sure it's set on New Year's Eve, I think. So yeah, but
gotcha.
it's got Jamie Lee in it. So
Very good. Have to check that out. Never seen it before, but I will definitely check it out. And also on October 3rd, about 34 years later, 2014, we have Annabelle. Annabelle, of course, is probably one of the most popular Conjuring universe films, spin-off type movies. Definitely the Annabelle doll is one of the more popular IPs of that universe. Very, 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 very used and merchandise. But Annabelle's a very, very good movie. I quite enjoy it. A fun watch for sure.
yeah, and I think it's a testament to having that kind of pretty iconic villainous character or whatever you want to call it. That to focus around that. There's something to be said for that in horror, and it definitely works in Annabelle. That doll's creepy as hell, and you see it all over the place marketed. So they get their mileage out of it.
Yes, very much so. Not that's not a bad thing either.
No, no, no.
I fully expect them to.
Yeah, yeah.
But moving on to October 3rd, 2017, Cult of Chucky. There is some debate as to the, how good some of the later Chucky films are, but I do like Cult of Chucky. I think that it's a decent movie for the modern age. I think the Chucky TV series obviously captured it a little bit. It was a little bit like lightning in a bottle. But it was just the right time, the right place, and with the right people. But Cult of Chucky was still good nonetheless, even though it was not as good as other things.
Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's not the worst. Not maybe not as good, quite as good as some of the earliers, but it's not bad. Got its place. And I do think, like you said, I think the series, I think it, I don't know, brought a little more. I don't know what the word is. Maybe a little more respectability to some of those later movies, the way they utilized them as some of the characters and things, and gave them a little importance. And I don't know, it worked well. But I mean, I like all the Chucky films to one degree or another. I don't have any that I would just say I just absolutely hate. So.
Absolutely. I would agree. None of them are so bad. I take that back. The only one that I really hate is Seed of Chucky.
Mm.
Um, it's simply unwatchable in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Otherwise, everything's pretty good.
yeah, but lots of people like it because they like that whatever that kid doll, whatever its name is. Um,
Oh,
and even
yeah, I don't remember what his name is.
and even that was brought into the series world, and given whatever little time to shine and everything. So I'm getting depressed about the series all over again.
Right, right. Oh Lord. Yeah, no, yeah. I won't dwell on that, but that's understandable. That's understandable. Anywho, moving on to October 4th, 2009, a absolute fucking banger, Trick or Treat. Easily one of the best Halloween movies of all time, and it is also easily one of the best, if not the best, anthology movies that have ever graced the presence of this world. Um, the only sad thing about it is that Trick or Treat never got a theatrical release. Like
Mhm.
it was just straight to DVD or video or whatever it was at the time, probably DVD. And that deeply saddens me. But they obviously have a cult following. We're getting a Trick or Treat 2 at some point, so yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I love this movie so much. Sam is an absolute iconic character. Um, I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but we did review this in the archives one October when we were doing Halloween movies, and it's just terrific. Such a good movie,
Yeah,
and it definitely stands the test of time. So, and it's definitely one of those that you got to watch around Halloween every year.
yeah, no, absolutely. It is a Halloween watch, and I do believe it is on our watch list for the
Hmm.
Spooktober
Hmm.
season.
Definitely,
I don't
probably close,
remember.
probably
Yeah.
close to the holiday.
Yeah, it's actually on the 30th. I think we had to have Halloween
Yeah,
on the 31st, but yeah, Trick or Treat is on the 30th.
there you go. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, happy anniversary to Trick or Treat. Now, this is the big one right here. This is the one. He is him. October the 6th, 2022, Terrifier 2. Truly one of the most iconic films we have ever reviewed on this podcast, I would dare say. The highest rated film on this podcast, and projected to be the sequel. The Oscar probably going to beat that. I'm just guessing right now, but anywho, Terrifier 2. My God, this is probably one of my we did review this, right?
Yeah, yeah, we did.
Okay, this is probably one of our first around 2022, if I had to guess.
Probably, yeah.
It's around that
Um,
time ish,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
We were,
absolutely.
yeah. I don't know. I know we reviewed it, but yeah, this would have definitely. Oh man, yeah. This would have been because our first episode was released September 22nd, 2022. So this was just a couple weeks, and I believe wasn't the first movie we reviewed. Wasn't it Hocus Pocus 2?
I think so.
What
I think
what
so.
what a weird start for us, but
Truly, truly a weird start.
I just remember doing like that and the Monsters pretty early on. But yeah, the Terrifier 2 would have been right there. I mean, within a couple of weeks of starting.
It's weird. It's weird to think
Oh
that
no,
we've been doing it for so long.
so no. On the 22nd, we put out an introduction episode, but then on the 20th, the first movie we reviewed was The Monsters, and then Hocus Pocus
Oh,
2 and Smile, and then we did Hellraiser, the new Hellraiser, Terrifier 2, and Deadstream. we did 3 on that episode.
Gotcha. Well, I do know that Terrifier 2, I think that was our number 1 for 2022, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's probably any doubt to that.
No, I was gonna say I doubt that there is, but
I don't even have to look that up.
don't even need a fact check. We just know this to be the truth. But very excited for the next one. Obviously, we're not talking about it, but because we'll get on a rant about it. But very very excited for that. We're like 10 days away ish from that movie, so it is truly the final countdown. But I digress.
It's hard to believe it's here.
It really is. I feel like we've been waiting for this for so long, and it's like right there on the tip of our tongues.
Yeah, I'm ready.
But in any case, moving on to October 6, 2023, Exorcist Believer. The review of this, of course, is in our archives. We've talked a lot about Exorcist Believer and how we were excited for the sequel to this movie. There's been a lot of back and forth. Is this movie still happening, or did it get canceled? The sequel.
It got canceled, and now they've got Mike. Okay. I'm pretty sure they've got Mike Flanagan on board to do a kind of a new direction. So I don't know what exactly is happening. They are doing more Exorcist movies, and I'm pretty sure it's Mike Flanagan that's on board with it now. But yeah, the original trilogy plan is no longer.
Truly a shame. Truly, truly a shame. But it is what it is.
Yep.
But check out that review in the archives if you haven't yet. Won't be sorry. And then, of course, October 8th, 2013, another Chucky, Curse of Chucky. I think I liked Curse of Chucky a little bit more than Cult of Chucky, if I remember correctly. But again, sort of part of that little, I think there's like a trilogy of movies. There's like Curse, Cult, and something else that all kind of came out near-ish to one another around that time.
Yeah, they tried some different things, and a different direction, and it works. I like Curse. It's okay.
Yep.
But apparently the Chucky movies like October.
True. Yeah, I was gonna say. Apparently that's like their time. That's just like when they're like, "Yep, let's start putting this. Let's put the shit out right now." But hey, I guess it works.
Sure.
But moving on from movie anniversaries on to upcoming releases. Mr. Crockett, the series. Is it a series or a movie?
Just a movie.
It's a movie. I don't know why I keep thinking this is a TV show, but Mr. Crockett comes to Hulu.
There's a TV show within the movie, remember? It's a kid's show.
Oh, yeah. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
Don't mind me.
We've discussed all these upcoming releases, but so this is just kind of a quick re-mentioning because they're getting ready to come out. So
right. But so Mr. Crockett is coming to Hulu on October 11th. Be sure to check it out. Should be fun. And then, of course, as we mentioned, Terrifier 3 hits theaters October 11th. The long-awaited threequel of the Terrifier series. And we're both very excited for it, as you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, Smile 2 is coming to theaters October the 18th. It's going to be very fun, very good. I'm actually excited to stop seeing this trailer in front of every movie I see because I feel like I see it every time I go to the theaters. But yes, I'm very excited for all 3 of those.
They are definitely doing the big promotion push like they did last time. They got the smiling people showing up at events and stuff again, and they know what they're doing, but it's like just want to see the movie already.
Yeah. They certainly know what they're doing. But all right. Well, that's it. That was a lot to get through. We had a lot of stuff to talk about today. So we're going to go ahead and take a pause, take a break, take a breather. And when we come back, we'll have our official review of Never Let Go.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktr.ee/wrestlepod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, and we're back here on Listen to the Screams review time. We are reviewing Never Let Go, which is out in theaters right now. The movie is described as a family has been haunted by an evil for years. Their safety comes into question when one of the children questions if the evil is real. The movie was written by Kevin Coughlin and Ryan Graspy, starring Halle Berry, Anthony B. Jenkins, Percy Daggs IV, and Stephanie Levine. The movie was released on September 20th in theaters and it grossed $4,449,065 domestically on its opening weekend, which was good for number four. And I really had no idea what to expect from this movie because the description's kind of vague, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
really tell you much. And I hadn't really seen a whole lot, so I was like, I really don't even know what this movie's about. And then I kept asking myself, why is it called Never Let Go? What does that mean? And you see in the movie what that means. And you know, here's my I it's an all right movie. It was fine. It was enjoyable enough to watch. Nothing that I'm going to run out and scream in the streets that yeah, you got to go watch this movie. Um, the acting in it was absolutely really really good. I mean, Halle Berry. I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of Halle Berry, but she was great in it. The two kids were absolutely great in it. I like the concept. Uh, it was. I think it's a. I don't know. To me, this. I don't. I mean, I'm not going. Don't want to give away a lot, but it was this very. To me, it's kind of this odd look, maybe at mental health and mental illness, um, because. And I don't mean odd in a bad way. I just mean it was kind of a look at what's real and what is perhaps a mental health issue and things and this and they try to blur the line so you don't know what's going on and what's happening and they kind of tip you back and forth on that through the movie and it was an okay movie. I don't know, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't the kind of movie that I absolutely love to see, but it was enjoyable enough. And like I said, the acting was really good in it. I thought the kids were great. The two sons. I thought they did a really good job. And again, I was pleasantly surprised by Halle Berry because I think you don't see her do things like this as often as you do kind of other stuff. And I thought she did really well. And
Yeah.
so I don't know, not much else for me to say because again, nothing really just jumped at me as spectacular about this movie. Um, that I just, it was okay. It was a solid little movie, but not necessarily my favorite kind of movie to see. But I did pretty quickly understand after watching it, while watching it, the concept of what was happening and why the title is what it is, and I mean you find that out pretty early on.
Yeah.
The title they use that explain that almost from the guy maybe even before the opening credits. So. But it's an okay movie. It's all right. Nothing spectacular for me. Not my favorite, but you know what? I can see if as some people say, if this is that kind of thing you like, I can see why you would like this kind of thing because if this is your style of movie, I think they did it well. So, Ike, what do you think?
Well, I think for me the big thing here is that the movie was okay. I was about to jump into something, but I should probably preface it by something else. Always get ahead of myself when I start my review. So to start off, the movie itself was shot wonderfully. The setting of the movie was great. I really liked the house, how it was designed. Obviously, for those who have watched the trailer, you understand that these people mostly live in this house and they use a rope to anchor themselves to the house to stay safe from something. And the house is very well done. Very, very like it looks like the kind of house that you would be living in if you were crazy, or maybe not crazy. Who knows? And this house and the surroundings. That was the first thing that struck me about this movie. It was like, hey, they did a good job with that. As for the acting was actually really good as well. I would say that Halle Berry did a very, very good job. Obviously, Halle Berry is sort of, up and down when it comes to acting. Halle Berry's Catwoman is not super well looked upon in terms of like movies in general, but like specifically like comic book movies. People don't really like Catwoman.
Yeah.
But she's obviously done other stuff
Yeah, I
that
mean,
was
she was really good in Monster. I mean, again, I don't know anything else she's did. I mean, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Flintstones movie, so she was fun in that. But yeah, I don't know a lot of standout roles. I'm sure she has them, but again, I'm not a big Halle Berry fan. But yeah, she was all right. She was good in this. I thought she did well.
she plays Storm in the X-Men
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
series.
she was. Yeah, yeah. And I thought it was an okay casting. I don't know. I guess I understand why they cast her at that time. I guess I always had I don't know who, but there's always a part of me that I wish you would have cast somebody else, maybe not her. Again, I don't know. I don't know if anybody else would have been any better. I'm not saying she did bad, but and I understand she had some star power, but
Right,
yeah, I forgot she was in the original uh X-Men movies.
right. But yeah, I mean, so Halle Berry did a good job. The two kids did an exceptional job. I would say, in my opinion, the two kids were truly the stars of this movie. They some of the dialogue that they had to give was just, I mean, it was heart-wrenching. It was
Mhm.
truly just very well delivered, and they're super young. So it's like seeing them
Don't get me
giving.
don't get me
Go ahead.
started on the one part with the dog. Oh,
Oh my God, that was just
oh
so. For we're not going to spoil it, but
no.
there is a dog in the movie because you can see that in the trailer. There is a dog in the movie, but there's a scene, and anybody who watches the movie will watch the scene, and it is simply probably the most heartbreaking thing that you will ever watch in a horror movie that I think I've ever seen.
Yes.
And it is only expounded upon when you realize the true gravity of the situation towards the end of the film, that it was probably not necessary to even think of that
Mhm.
action that we're thinking of. So, anyways,
Yeah.
um, also the dog did fantastic. Top billed actor in the film. I kid,
Yeah.
but no,
And
the
also, I
kids.
mean, ultimately the kids they were the center of the movie because ultimately it yeah, I'm not really giving a spoil, but ultimately it ended up shifting to where they were the center. Um,
Yeah.
you find out that everything shifts to where they are the prime topic of the movie. So there was a stretch where they were carrying this movie.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say that I would dare say that is a good thing. These are two very talented young men, and
Yeah, yeah, they
I
did
mean,
good.
they're just they have a very big future, truly, in Hollywood. And I hope that it treats them right because they were so excellent. So, with all of that being said, I do think that the movie was a little long.
Yeah.
I I know that a lot of these studios will just pump out longer movies just 'cause that's what they can do. I think this movie was too long for its own good. I felt like that they were really trying to just fit as much stuff in there. They probably could have cut three or four scenes, and it probably would have been the exact same movie. Um, there's a lot of exposition that wasn't necessary, a lot of reinforcement of that exposition that I don't think was necessary, and I think that it worked against itself in a lot of ways. And that's coming from the guy who rarely thinks that movies are too long. The length of a movie to me generally does not impact my score of the film, but in this case, it does a little bit because I do feel like it detracted from the quality of the film. Because there are parts that just dragged, in my opinion. But otherwise, the story was great. There was a lot of back and forth in terms of, what's real, what isn't real. Is there reality in this case, or like you said, is this a mental health thing? And I do think that this was um, the film was sort of a method of explaining mental illness and perhaps even hereditary mental illness.
Mhm.
So I do think that it was definitely a vessel for that idea. Um, so it did a very good job because I did get that from the movie. It definitely kind of dives into that quite a bit. So, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. overall fairly good. Too long for its own good. Good messages all around. Very fun movie.
Yeah, and I they did a good job with the keeping you guessing what's real, what's not real, right? I mean, because I watched the majority of the movie thinking, I don't know which way they're really going with this. So I think that was well. They did good. Yeah, there were a couple of scenes that were really pulled at the heartstrings, like the dog, and there was another scene that kind of got me a little bit. But yeah, it was again it was an okay movie. There were, like you said, there was a little bit in there that I'm in retrospect, I'm kind of like, not even sure why that had to be in it. I think you could have trimmed it some things, and it didn't really impact the overall movie. Um, I don't. This is a movie to me that I feel would have been a little stronger on a streaming release as a theater release. This didn't feel quite strong enough to get a theatrical release for me. This more, as I watched it, felt like that kind of movie that you see debut on a streaming platform. Um, it just, I don't know. I'm not sure why. And maybe it's just again me and my opinions on it, my view on these type of movies. It just didn't feel. I don't know. Maybe I think because to me theatricals just feel so selective anymore. That it's either a blockbuster type movie or it's a very niche type movie that's it's hip to have in a theater for a while. Or it's cool like Terrifier 3 where it's got this cult like following, and this didn't really fall to any of that to me. This was kind of just a meh, middle of the ground kind of movie. It wasn't what I would call blockbuster. It didn't. I don't know that it had this strong target audience. It just felt weird. Now I'm sure budget wise, probably they wanted to be in a theater. I don't know what the budget is. I don't know whether 4.5 million on open weekend is what they hoped. It's not bad, I don't think for it. And being number four, I mean, we're talking, behind some strong movies because we still have, Deadpool, Wolverine out there, and what else? I mean, I don't know. There's a couple other still, pretty strong. I don't know. Beetlejuice is still out there performing pretty strong. I know there's that new the Wild Robot movie. I'm not sure if that's out yet. I know, or was out at this time. But anyway, there's some other. Number four is not a bad thing. Um, I would venture to guess maybe 4.5 million. I don't know. I feel like they might have been a little disappointed with that. And again, I don't know the budget. Since it's not I mean, there's not a lot of variance in set. You wouldn't think that it would have been that horrible, right? I mean,
Well, and you mentioned that you thought it would have been better, or not that it would have been better, but that it maybe felt more like a streaming release. I think the small scope is what gave that for me. Is
might have
that
been. Yeah.
there's only really three actors in this movie. There are some
Uh-huh.
other actors that kind of drift in and out occasionally, but for the most part, it's just the three people you see in the trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
And
for the most part, I mean, it's just two settings, right? I mean, it's the home and the wooded area surrounding the home. Um,
right.
for brief parts. I mean, there, a couple of instances outside that, but not nothing major. So yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know. Again, I really didn't go in with very expecting very much out of it. So I didn't really feel a lot of disappointment because again, I didn't know exactly what the movie was going to be about. Um, hadn't seen a whole lot of it, or any of much of the promotional stuff. So I think it kind of helped me not feel like I was disappointed because I really didn't have any kind of expectations. And I don't know that I would have had any expectations, frankly, given this movie with what it is. But I was pleasantly surprised with the two kids in it. Thought they did an excellent job. I was surprised, did think Halle Berry did a great job in it.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it was the strongest of stories, but it was okay. Um, it was what it was. Nothing earth shattering or groundbreaking or genre defining. Um, and I, unfortunately, Hallie, I just don't think he got much of a chance to crack our top five this year. But better luck next year. So all right, so let's rate this sucker. Ike, out of five screams, what are you giving Never Let Go?
I'm going to give Never Let Go a very strong 3.5 out of 5. When I watched the movie initially, I initially was like, oh, this is a 4, but I kind of sat and thought about it and pondered the length of the film, which is really for me what was a drawback to me. Um, but yeah, 3.5 out of 5, a strong 3.5 out of 5.
Well, you are much more generous than I am on this. I have to say, like I said, it was an okay movie, but it was a little underwhelming to me. I am going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. I just didn't even feel like it really was enough there for me to get to a 3. While the acting was good, I just didn't feel like it was strong enough. Story wise and everything else, just I watched it. It was okay, but I was kind of losing my interest in some points, and so I can't even bump it up to a 3 for me. So, but again, like I said, it's just not my kind of movie. So it really does not play into me as a target audience. I'm not that. There's nothing there for me that would make me really, really, really cinch into it and love this movie. So there you go. I guess if you balance it all out, we're giving it a cumulative or average of a 3, which is still, that's a, solid little enjoyable movie for us. So there you go. So yeah, it's very two distinct different opinions, right? Neither of us really hated it or really super loved it. But I enjoyed it a little more than me. So there you go. Go see it for yourself and see where you land on Never Let Go. I do think this will probably be a movie again that I think when it hits streaming is going to be pretty successful. I think it's going to do pretty good numbers streaming. It just and and I hope it succeeds in the box office and recoups what it needs to recoup and make some money and whatever. But I just feel that it's going to be a strong streaming type movie. It just feels like one of those movies that lots of people are not going to go to the theater to check out, given some of the other movies that are out, but they will watch it when it hits streaming. And that is I would think definitely something that's might hurt this movie is the quality of movies that are out there right now. People are still seeing Deadpool versus Wolverine and some of the kids movies that are out there and whatnot, and then here we are on the cusp of Terrifier 3 coming. So I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether there's enough there to get enough attention for people to go seek this out to really see it over something else, because people aren't going to see generally just a ton of movies or a bunch of movies in theaters anymore. They're being a little more selective, and I think one of the biggest problems for this movie is going to be the competition. The other movies that are already out there, and some of the movies that are getting ready to come out. It's just I mean, I understand the concept of putting it out there in October. I mean, that's probably the best time to do it. But just it's a pretty, I don't know. There's a lot of big movies out there right now. This one's going to have trouble competing with. So, but anyway, that is our review of Never Let Go. Next episode, we are going to be reviewing Apartment 7A, which is the prequel to Rosemary's Baby. This movie was released on September 27th. It is on Paramount Plus, and it is available video on demand. So if you have not already watched it, go ahead and watch it before our review so that you can follow along with our opinions and our take on the movie. I'm pretty excited to see this. I have not seen Rosemary's Baby in a long time, so I'm definitely going to do a rewatch of that before this. But this is one of those movies that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I feel like I'm either going to think, oh, it's pretty solid, or I'm going to be really super disappointed with it. I don't know. I feel like this is one of those movies that there's not going to be a lot of gray area for me. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. So I'm curious to see where it lands. I'm hoping I'm hoping, I was pleasantly surprised by The Exorcist First Omen. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it worked. And so I'm curious to see about this. The prequel thing that's kind of going on here lately. It's kind of fascinating and curious to me because I feel like the quality of people trying to go back and make prequels is a little better than it's been in the past. So I'm curious what they do with this. So I'm intrigued. Let's call it that. It's a very strong curiosity for this movie, and plus this it's just not a bit. There's not like there's been a super amount of hype about this, right? It's just kind of they made the announcement and whatnot, and it kind of just floated by, and here it is. It's out now, and it's I don't know. It's, again, maybe the time of the year, the other stuff that's out there, it's just kind of gotten overlooked. So I feel like it's one of those movies that's not been crammed down our throat, and we're already it's like, we're almost sick of it before we see it with certain things, and so I don't know. I'm curious to see it, see how I feel and my reaction to it when I watch it. But there will, like I said, definitely be a Rosemary's Baby rewatch before that. So.
Yeah.
So that I can make sure that's fresh on my mind because it has been a long time since I watched that movie. So, all right. So, Ike, thank you to all the wives, the listeners, the followers for everything you guys do to support us and to support the show and everything else. So, before we close this out, Ike, anything you want to throw in?
The only thing I was going to add, because I forgot to add this last week, but the last hurricane just came through and hit parts of Florida and North Carolina even. So, to any of our listeners who are in those areas, obviously, our thoughts are with you right now, and hopefully, if you are in a bad situation, hopefully this is, you're able to get out of that situation soon. I know that Asheville, North Carolina, was specifically very heavily hit.
Ooh.
So obviously, I'm sure we don't have a huge listening population in Asheville, but nonetheless, people
Never
there
know.
people there, people with friends or family there, thoughts are with you. Stay safe during this time, and uh, I guess get ready. There's another hurricane in the Gulf. I don't know what's going on anymore. Global warming, man. Am I
Absolutely.
right?
And as the movie said, but this is obviously a little more metaphorical, uh, not metaphorical stance, not literal. Just that if you're out there and you're struggling, just never let go. Right?
Right.
It's gonna. I know it's rough. I know horrible things have happened, but there will be light somewhere. I promise you that. And if you need somebody to chat with, hit us up. I know, no, not like we're crisis counselors or anything else, but we are available ears if that's what you want. And you know, but anyway, yeah. So thoughts going out and good vibes going out to anybody affected by anything like that. Any kind of that, there have been tornadoes that have hit in places and whatnot, and there's always something happening in the world. And so, hey, just keep your chin up. And like Andy said, the sun will come out tomorrow. So there you go. Man, I kind of feel like you brought the room down, like at the end. And I'm like, oh fuck it. Why do you even listen to the goddamn horror podcast anyway? You've got bigger problems. And
Right. I had to mention it because I was gonna
yeah.
mention it last week before it happened. I was like, be safe out there and all that stuff, but it just slipped by me. So I was like, I want to make sure I say it this time. So my bad, guys. My bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's close and get out of here. So wherever you are, whatever you do, just always remember, be good, be safe, and always have many pleasant nightmares.